Horizon Home reaction. This is why did the US strike dozens of targets in Syria after Assad fell? This is by the channel Sandbox, obviously. Yeah, recently Assad's regime fell. Is it positive? Looks positive. But then again, things like this always have like a grim result. It's really fucked up when it comes to like republics or like nations, which is like in brink of collapse all the time. It's like they never come out of it, right? Because a bad regime goes down, like something else always in that power vacuum, something else also is like a bad element takes over rather than having a proper true democracy. That's the thing. A proper true democracy needs a military and like a like somewhat wealth and strong military to like sustain democracy, right? And if you're like a poor country and like not that much of a powerful military, it's always going to be hard unless outside forces somehow helps you. And in order for that to happen in a potential democratic country, people need to band together to agree to that, which is like a far-fetched thing. So I don't know how this is gonna work. I hope Syria be stable in the future. Feels weirdly unlikely, but we'll see. I don't know. This is just like over the top information or like basic things that I can tell you because that's all I know. I don't know about details about that. That's why I watched this video. It's going to be interesting. Let's watch it.
Over the past few days, U.S. Air Force B-52 Stratofortresses, F-15E Strike Eagles, and A-10 Thunderbolt IIs, better known as Warthogs, struck dozens of ISIS targets across a century.
This send B-52s, F-15ES, and A-10s. Now these are powerful planes, not gonna lie, but this is not the best plane US have. It's not even B1, it's B-52. B1 is like, it's faster, has a better payload. Obviously not B2 because I guess they didn't need stealth. Not even like F-34, F-22, no, let alone F-35s. Let's just ignore F-22 completely. Not even F-35s, which they have a lot of it. They use like F-15E as like wide risk F-35 at this point. A-10 because of course they're gonna work. This is a sign of like a major power versus something that doesn't even compare to just like a swaddling match or some shit. Like they just came there like destroyed shit and walk away. 75 targets, damn, okay.
Central portion of newly liberated Syria. And if you haven't been paying close attention to this conflict over the past 13 or so years, I can understand why that might seem confusing. After all, the Russian-backed Assad regime just fell in Syria, and the fight against ISIS has been pretty quiet for a few years now. Well, there are really two reasons why the US decided to act now, to strike some 75 different targets across central Syria that included senior ISIS leadership, ISIS training camps, and large pockets of ISIS fighters. And the first and simplest one is that up until a few days ago, these ISIS cells were inside Syrian government and Russian military-controlled territory. You see, the United States, Russia, Syria, and several local groups have all been fighting against ISIS since at least 2014. And over the past few years, the US and Russia have had something of a gentleman's agreement to deconflict the area, with American operations and forces mostly staying east of the Euphrates River and territory controlled by the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces who have invited American involvement in the conflict. West of the Euphrates, until recently, was primarily Syrian government-controlled territory that was policed by Russian air defense systems and Russian tactical aircraft. And in fact, Russia positioned air defense assets all throughout Syria, which clearly would do little good against ISIS because they have no aircraft to speak of, but certainly could target non-stealth American platforms like the B-52, the F-15E, and the A-10 Thunderbolt II. So the first answer, looking backward, is that these cells were simply no longer under the protection of a Russian air defense umbrella. But the second answer is looking forward, and that is that the US wants to make sure that the instability in Syria following the...
Yeah, I was about to say that. I think that's not... They could have used B-2s and F-35s if they really wanted to, but I don't think that was the case. I think the case was like they didn't want to step on the toes of Russia. Shit is already bad enough. They don't want to give an excuse to Russia if shit goes sideways, right? America attacked Russia, that kind of shit, right? So Russia was there and they're like, okay, let's not touch this one. As soon as Assad fell, fled to Russia and just like the territory collapsed, US is like, oh, now we are in clear, we can attack. And so they basically attack. And yeah, it makes sense what he said about like making sure the like future thing that, like I said in the start of the video, it's unlikely, right? Like another power that comes, like whatever fills that power vacuum is going to be also something that's like, let's just say not that great, right? If I speak Trump's speech, not that great, average. So, I don't know. I think that's what they don't want to do this Afghanistan 2.0 where they just left a shit ton of material, shit ton of like, like equipments and things that like Afghanistan, like, literally people just like took it over, American equipments. They just left it over behind. Because a lot of people, the logisticians just said it's best to leave it behind. It's profitable to leave the shit behind rather than take it back home because that's going to cost more. So it costs more. You just want to give back the weapons, American weapons to these people. So they did that shit in Afghanistan. That was very hastily, I don't know how to say that. That's very fast and just like bad around. So they didn't want to do similar things here. They wanted to make sure that like whatever comes next doesn't have an edge. So they just destroyed a lot of 75 targets.
The fall of the Assad regime, and as a new government is starting to form, doesn't create an opportunity for ISIS to regain a foothold in the region. There's really no debate.
ISIS. So yeah, ISIS could gain power. So they don't want ISIS with certain advantages. So they're doing more calculated things this time.
That Assad was a dictator and a despot who used chemical weapons against his own civilian populace on hundreds of separate occasions, backed by the Russian Air Force.
What the fuck? He used chemical weapons? Oh, that's just some next level shit. What the fuck? Man, come on, man. You need to be some next level of fucked up if you're gonna use chemical weapons on your own people. Kids, for fuck's sake. There are kids there. Like, who does, I don't like, you need to be properly like, you need to be, like properly like, detached from emotion. Like, you see everything in numbers at that point. That's just insane.
But that doesn't change the fact that the collapse of a standing government always creates a power vacuum that bad actors can take advantage of. And the United States, along with its partners in the Syrian Democratic Forces, had no intention of allowing ISIS to become a big problem once again. So, why is the US striking targets in Syria?
Yeah, only way Syria can have a proper stable democracy if US enforces by force. And then US will be called imperialist or something if they do that. And also like it's going to cost a shit ton of money. Why would US do that? So that's the thing, like I said in the start of the video, like you need somewhat strength, military strength and somewhat good economy if you're going to like sustain proper democracy. Otherwise there's going to be power vacuum, bad elements will always take it over, right? Creating a stable democracy is really hard, especially if you're doing really bad.
The same old story it always was, to rout ISIS everywhere they can hide. But as for what all of this means for the future of Syria, that's a much tougher question to answer.
Yep, there you go. You know you're going to have a bad day when they send B-52s and A-10s to see you. Yeah, that is so true. I mean, I don't want to like belittle B-52s and A-10s. They are insane by any standard. But yeah, when US is flying so high, like above everyone, it's just like that secondary equipment is still powerful as fuck. But yeah, they just send like, I want to say non-stealthy, but it's not even non-stealthy. Like I said, B-1 bone is faster and has better payload, and there's some I mean, I get it, like B-52s were like stationed near, B-1s probably not, but still, like they still use B-52s. That's insane. Like B-1 is better every single way compared to B-52. That's how like numbers like resetted because it's the newer one, B-1 and then B-2 and now apparently B-21, right? Because numbers resetted again, 21st century thing. But yeah, well, that was why did the US strike dozen of targets Syria after Assad fell? Yeah, just like they don't want to give good shit. Like, and if you played any video game with territory, you know you just take over shit. They didn't want ISIS to do that. So there you go, destroyed a lot of resources. So yeah. Alright, this was my channel Sandbox, really great channel. Like you should always watch the original video first before watching the reaction. Original video page link is in the description, and I'll see you next time.